Have you ever found yourself feeling totally drained or maybe even a little bit resentful in your relationships with, family, friends, even coworkers? If that sounds familiar, you are definitely not alone, and it's usually a sign that something's missing. So today, we're going to dig into the work of Nedra Glover Tawwab to find that missing piece: healthy boundaries. Here's what we've got lined up. First, we'll look at the signs that you might need boundaries. Then we'll nail down what they actually are. After that, we'll cover the 3 different styles of boundaries, a super simple 2-step guide for setting them, and finally, we'll talk about why that initial awkwardness is totally worth it. So, let's start with the big question. How do you even know if a lack of boundaries is what's causing the problem? Well, let's look at the symptoms. If this question right here just hits you in the gut, you're not just stressed. These feelings, they are direct signals. They're basically your mind and your body waving a big red flag, telling you that your limits are being pushed way too far, way too often. Okay, so feeling constantly overwhelmed and this is a big one, feeling resentful toward people you actually want to help, that's a huge sign. Or maybe you see a call from a certain person and you just let it go to voicemail because you know they're going to ask for something. Or maybe you just daydream about packing a bag and disappearing for a while. Look, these aren't signs you're a bad person. They are crystal clear signs that you're giving away more than you have. So, if that's the problem, what's the solution? Well, it all comes down to really understanding what boundaries are in the first place. Let's completely reframe how we think about this. Boundaries are not about pushing people away. It's the opposite. They're just the expectations and needs that you communicate so you can feel safe and comfortable in your relationships. They bring clarity. They define what works for you and what doesn't, which, let's be honest, is the foundation of any good relationship. And this is why it's so important to get this next point. Setting boundaries is not selfish. It's a fundamental act of self-care. It's about protecting your own energy and your own peace so you actually have the good stuff to give to others and, most importantly, to yourself. All right, now, not all boundaries look the same. Let's get into the 3 different styles, because this right here, this is where a lot of people have that big aha moment. So check this out. On one extreme, you have porous boundaries. This is your classic people pleaser, someone who has a really hard time saying no because they're afraid of being rejected. On the other extreme, you have rigid boundaries. This is like building a fortress around yourself, cutting people out. But the goal, the sweet spot, is right there in the middle, the healthy style. You know what you value, and you're comfortable saying no when you need to. And that is the aha moment. The whole point isn't to be porous like a sponge, soaking everything up, or rigid like a brick wall, letting nothing in. Healthy boundaries are more like a fence with a gate. It's firm, it's clear, but you get to decide when to open the gate and who you let in. Okay, so we know what healthy boundaries look like in theory, but how do we actually do it? Let's get into the practical step-by-step action plan. Honestly, it boils down to a pretty simple 2-step process: communication and action. That's it. First, you say it. Then, you do it. Let's break that down. Step 1 is all about using your words. You have to clearly and verbally state your need. This example is just perfect. It's not aggressive, right? It's just a calm request about someone's behavior and a heads up about what you'll do. I'd like you to, and I will mention. Simple as that. And this part is so crucial. People cannot read your mind. We kind of wish they could, but they can't. Dropping hints, using body language, it just leads to confusion. You have to spell it out, so there's no guesswork involved. All right, now for step 2, action. Your words mean nothing if you don't follow through. So if you've told a friend you need more notice for plans, and then they hit you up last minute, your action is what gives your words weight. You can still be kind about it, just like in this example. You decline the request, but you offer a different solution that works for you. Because here's the bottom line. Your actions teach people how to treat you. When you consistently honor your own boundaries, that's when other people really start to understand that you're serious. And that's when they start to respect them too. Now, I know what you might be thinking. All of this sounds, well, uncomfortable, awkward even. And you know what? You're right. It can be, especially at first. But let's talk about why that discomfort is actually the most important part of the whole process. This quote just says it all, doesn't it? Yeah, that first conversation might feel a little weird. Sticking to your guns might create a tense moment. But that temporary awkwardness is the price of admission for long-term peace and respect in your relationships. And trust me, it is always worth it. So I'll just leave you with this one question. It doesn't have to be some huge dramatic thing. Maybe it's just saying no to one tiny request. or carving out 5 minutes of alone time. What is one small step you can take this week to find a little more peace in your life?